here is the KYOSHO Blizzard 2.0 all unboxed. You get obviously your radio, your bag of instructions. It includes charger, one Allen wrench, and a bind plug. And obviously you have the truck itself. Pretty self-explanatory. This thing has been around forever, but for the past few months I've been trying to get my hands on one of these, and it's been very difficult. Clearly because it's winter and it's snowing outside, and this is a 12 scale snowcat. Luckily, I just saw one of the eBay listing from KYOSHO America actually, and managed to get my hands on it. Came here in about 3 days or so, which is great. Been waiting for this for at least a few months. So yeah, let's go ahead and open this guy up. First thing you'll notice is it's got some really nice scale details. You have these mirrors and also wipers, and these are all made of a relatively flexible plastic, so if you roll over, it'll most likely be fine. You have some rails and also an exhaust pipe. The overall detail to the thing, I think, is great. It looks great, but unfortunately though, it does have painted windows. The on-off switch is here at the back. Just click it on and off, and to access the inside, you basically have these two body clips holding the body on, and that's it. So with the body clips removed, the body just comes straight off like this. And one very frustrating and just confusing thing is that it's not that the body's not molded. As you can see in this body is sort of two parts. You have the base here and then the cab. The base here has a whole dashboard, and I would assume there's a steering wheel right there and seats molded into it. But for some reason or another, they've decided not to include clear windows in order to see it. So out of the box, I did encounter one problem. This particular wheel nut here, or it's the axle, how it's constructed, was tightened down way too much, and it completely locked up this front drive wheel here. Unfortunately, if someone who didn't catch this and just slapped a battery in and just went to town, they would have burnt up the ESC oil motor on one side. So check basically all your bolts, especially in the drivetrain. Make sure they're freely spinning before you try and put a battery in and run it. So onto the inside. So the whole system is powered by two 370 sized brush motor, mated to this really basic plastic transmission. All the gears are plastic. The drive shafts are steel, which is a good thing, but they're all just on a drive shaft with no bearing. Or a servo here at the back, which is all plastic gears, controls the bucket up front here, where you can raise it and lower it, even bushing support. Let's get into the receiver slash ESC box and have a look inside. Wiring and setup in the inside is pretty simple. You basically have two ESCs here controlling each motor separately, and this harness basically just connects both ESCs to the same switch, on-off switch here, and to the same battery. So they use the same single battery to power both ESCs. And then the ESCs is connected to this receiver, which channel 1 and 2 controls each of the ESCs, and channel 3 controls the plow. It does come with a 2200 mAh nickel metal hydride. I currently have it on my charger, the iMax B6V2. Great charger. The kit itself comes with a charger. This is a USB charger, and it is a grand total of 0.25 amps. So this 2200 mAh will probably take around 8 to 9 hours to actually fully charge if you use the included USB charger. So probably don't use that at all. Anywho, nickel metal hydrides are fine. Perhaps not the best in the cold, or have the best power to weight ratio, but for an RTR, it is acceptable. So let's get this running. First of all, you'd like to charge up your nickel metal hydride, because out of the box it's probably about 40% full, so you're not going to get a lot of runtime from that. And also you'll need to provide your own AA batteries. You need 4 AA's for the radio. Turn your radio on, and then we're going to connect our nickel metal hydride battery. So there we have it. Controls are pretty simple. Each stick controls each side of the track. So if I push 2 of them forwards, it'll go forwards. 2 of them backwards, it'll go backwards. If I counter rotate them, then it'll spin on the spot. If I do a combination of both, I'll be able to steer this around. Although there's a bit of getting used to for this. And to load and raise the plow, it's actually the right stick here, and it's left and right like this. Personally, I find these controls extremely difficult to use. So right out of the box, I'm going to go straight back to my pistol grip controller, and I'm going to show you how I'm going to do this. So here is the setup. For this setup, I'm using the Flysky GT5 radio. So this setup is for people who want to use a pistol grip radio for a tracked vehicle that has no mixing. So the whole thing works basically through this is called a VTEL mixer. So a VTEL mixer is for planes, basically. It's designed for, instead of planes that use rudders and ailerons, they would use VTELs. I don't really know the specifics, but it works in this application. So how this is wired is basically, instead of wiring the ESC straight into channel 1 and 2, I wire it through this VTEL mixer, and essentially mixes the input signals from the receiver into usable signals for the ESCs that allow for when you turn your steering channel, your wheel, the tracks will counter-rotate and would basically rotate in spot. And when you use your throttle, that's basically your usual, both tracks going in the same direction, so it'll move forwards or backwards. So it'll be easier when I show you that, but this is basically how it's set up. For when you're setting this up, I would definitely recommend either disconnect your track chains or have this elevated, because when I first plugged it in, the whole truck or vehicle ran away from me off the desk, and luckily nothing broke, which is good. But how I did it was I just did a trial and error. Make sure your signal, positive and negative wires are connected in the right way, obviously. And for this end, plug into channel 1 and 2 on the receiver, and essentially swap them until the right channel is controlling the right movements. Other than that, setup on the radio is pretty simple. I would definitely recommend turning your dual rate of your steering down. I have it at 25%. Otherwise, it is extremely twitchy. As soon as you turn this even slightly, the whole vehicle will just start and do 360s, which is rather annoying. Also, at the start, I would also suggest putting your throttle dual rate down to around 50% at least, just so when you get used to the vehicle, you can turn it back up. But at the start, it's very squiggly and it's hard to control. You need to get used to it. Other than that, for this particular setup, I have the servo for the lowering and raising the bucket on channel 6, which is just a dial. Again, I'll show that all on camera later, but it is pretty simple. This is a $15 part off eBay. So again, if you don't like using or not used to using the stick radios, and you just have an existing radio that you like that does not support mixing, this is the way to go. And again, as you'll see later, the control is not quite as fine. That's probably due to the motor and the ESC, but this does affect the quality of the signal coming from your receiver. So it might be a little twitchy, or it might not want to do anything quite as fine and low speed. But yeah, we'll have a look at how this performs. It powered on. Again, first is the bucket in front. I've connected to channel 6 right here. And I turn this dial, it'll go up and down, and I've set the end point so it does not overextend when it's at the bottom. And for steering, as soon as I turn the wheel, this will basically just spin on its own. As you can see, there are some delay to one of the tracks, which is, I think, due to maybe the mixing quality of the mixer. It's a pretty cheap one. And again, your channel 2, which is your throttle channel, just goes forwards and backwards. The startup is most apparent on the throttle. As you can see, the left track wants to go first with the right track. It could be due to the drivetrain resistance, or it could be the VTEL mixer acting up. But for now, this is what it does, unfortunately. But yeah. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Go forward, turn, much easier to control than the stick controller. So yeah, that's basically the whole setup. I hope this video has been very helpful to anyone looking into getting the KYOSHO Blizzard or any tracked vehicle working on a non-mixing capable radio. So yeah, that's basically. Any questions, post it down in comments. I'll try my best to answer them. And yeah, thanks for watching.